This product is copy protecting coated. Attempts to duplicate will damage this product and may damage your recording hardware. Federal law provides severe civil and criminal penalties for the unauthorized reproduction or distribution of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, and video discs. Criminal copyright infringement is investigated by the FBI and may constitute a felony with a maximum penalty of up to 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. All drills and exercises in this program are designed to develop fundamental skills. It is extremely important as an athlete or coach that you execute them with proper technique in order to avoid possible injury. To reduce the risk of possible injury, consult your doctor before beginning any exercise or skill development program. The producers, participants, and distributors of this program disclaim any liabilities or loss in connection with the information presented in this product.
Hello, I'm Pat Smith. I wrestled for Oklahoma State University from 1990 to 1994. During this video, I'm going to demonstrate the high crotch. I'm going to show the basic how to get into the high crotch situation, and I'm going to show a variety of finishes off the high crotch. Standing next to me here is Mark Branch, one of the only four-time finalists. There's only 9 four-time finalists in the history of the NCAA, and he's one of them. He's a 2-time NCAA champion, and I would be demonstrating the high crotch on him. First thing I want to do, when I'm hitting a high crotch, if I'm hitting a high crotch to this leg, to his right leg, I want to have an elbow control to the same side I'm shooting. Okay? We've all been taught when we shoot our high crotches to go off an inside control here to shoot a high crotch. I'm going to demonstrate the high crotch off an elbow control. Now, the reason why is an elbow control, I can move my opponent. All right? I've got to move him and get him off balance when I hit the high crotch. Off an inside control, I don't ever move my opponent when I attack him. Now, I think an inside control high crotch is a good high crotch to hit. There's nothing wrong with it, but I'm going to demonstrate and I'm going to show you as the tape goes on how I move my opponent with an elbow control instead of an inside control. Now, again, when I'm hitting a high crotch to the right side of my opponent's leg, I'm going to elbow control to the same side. Now, when I tie up with my opponent, I want my thumb to the outside, here. My hand cups around his tricep, slightly above the elbow in this position. Okay? Right here. That's the position I want to get. Now, once I get here, I want to squeeze him. Okay? Put pressure on his tricep, right here. I don't want to lay soft hands. And what I mean by laying soft hands is just laying my hands up here like this. Okay? I got to grab a hold of him in this position, above the elbow. Now, here's where we have problems that I notice when I'm teaching this. We get people who want to lay their hands on the elbow or here when we're drilling our move. We've got to concentrate and focus on being above the elbow. This move will not work, or you won't get the full effect of moving your opponent when you hit a high crotch if you're not above the elbow. On the tricep, right here. Again, I don't want to be here or here. I want to be above the elbow. Here's where I can move him. Okay? I can pull him by me. I can move him. Now, I'm above the elbow. Okay? When I tie up with my opponent. Now, first thing I want to do So when I go in and I'm moving from my high crotch, my head and chest is leaning forward here. Okay? And I always have people ask me, well, what if he head snaps me? Well, if he comes to my head and he head snaps me, he's just going to pull me right into the leg. I'm going to throw my hips up underneath me and hit my shot. Whether it's a high crotch, whether it's a double leg, I've got to get my hips up underneath me. So, the stance that I want to be in when I'm shooting this high crotch, if I'm shooting to his right leg, I have to have my right leg leading forward. Here, I've got to come across. Now, once I get the elbow control, here, I want to do a half-man type shot. And that's whatever shot I attempt. Whether it's a low single leg, whether it's a high crotch, double leg, I've got to be, when I'm lined straight up with my opponent right here, I've got to be half-man right here. I don't want to be straight in front of my opponent and attack his leg. I don't want to do this, come across the body. I don't want to come across the body, because if I do, that's when he throws his hips into me, right here, takes a step, throws his hips into me, and I'm in trouble, okay? So, I don't want to come across the body. If I come across, that's when they hit me, right here. Now, elbow control. Once I'm in my stance, my 1 foot's forward, 1 foot's back, my head and chest is going to be over my lead leg, right here, when I take the shot. This is the position I want to be in. Okay? I don't want to be here with my on a square stance and a penetrate. I've got to have 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, so I can drive into him, drive underneath him. So once I get to this position here, I change levels. Again, I change levels by throwing my chest over my lead leg right here. That's how I'm going to penetrate. So when I get my elbow, I swish my feet, I come to here in this position. Once I get to this position here, I've half-manned my opponent here. I'm tied up with him. Opposite side, you can do what you feel comfortable. Inside control, elbow. I prefer inside control. Here. Thumb to the inside, right here on the bicep. Now once I get to this position, I swish of my feet or I get in a staggered stance here. Now when I'm ready to penetrate, the most important thing, when I'm tied up with my opponent, most important thing I want to do is I've got to change levels. I don't want to shoot straight down here. I've got to change levels, then penetrate. And that is one thing that a lot of people overlook when they're demonstrating shots, is the penetration, the change in levels. Okay? So when I penetrate, I want to come from here, change levels, and then drive into my opponent. Whatever move it is, doesn't matter. So, by changing levels, I swish my feet. Here, got to swish my feet. Head and chest come over my lead leg in this position. So when I swish my feet, both feet pick up at the same time, right here. Head and chest come over my lead leg. Now look how much lower I am than my opponent. This is where I want to be. My head is lower than my opponent's head when I'm attacking his legs. Always. I never want to be head to head and shoot straight down. I can't score and it won't be effective against a good wrestler. I've got to change levels and get up underneath him. Inside control to the opposite side, elbow control above the elbow on the tricep. Here. Changing levels. Now once I get to this position, here's where a lot of people have problems. Once I get to this position, I do not penetrate. I do not take a step with my lead leg. Okay? I don't want to step into him. I'm going to drive my knee right straight towards his toe, my lead leg knee. is just going to drive right straight towards his toe. My lead foot never takes a step towards him. Once I switch my feet, my lead foot stays right where it's at. I drive my knee to the mat. And when I'm driving my knee to the mat, I'm rotating my shoulders right here. I don't shoot in square. Okay? I don't shoot straight in square with him. I want to rotate my shoulders here. When I rotate my shoulders, the hand that's on the tricep, I rotate my shoulders, my wrist goes to my bicep. I pull the wrist control, rotate in this position. So when I'm shooting, when I hit this knee to the mat here, I'm rotating right there. By doing that, that moves my opponent off of me. I'm going to plant his hands behind me. Now, once I get to here, I swish my feet. I change levels. My knee goes right towards his toe. I don't take a step. I leave this foot planted. I swish my feet in this position. Okay? Now, once I get to here, I drive my knee towards his toe. I rotate my shoulders. I take my wrist to my bicep. And I'm going to snap him here. Okay? I'm not slinging it up. Okay? I don't want to sling it up or throw it up. I want to pull it right to my bicep and snap. Once I get to here, I release the hand that's around the elbow. Once I get to this position, knee goes to the mat. Here, my right hand extends straight, and I attack his knee. Right there. Now, stay where you're at. Look how I've moved him. This is the position I want to put my opponent in. By going elbow control, rotating my shoulders, and snapping, I take my opponent out of position. This is the position I put my opponent in with an elbow control. An inside control high crotch. When I move my opponent, by putting my opponent to the mat, I take him out of position. An inside control high crotch, I don't move my opponent. All right? Once I shoot in, I never move my opponent in this position. By inside control high crotch, getting to his leg, he's got room to fight me. Okay? He can still defend me. Elbow control, I put him off balance. I put his hands to the mat. Now I can finish. Once I get to this position, I swish my feet here. Once I get to this position, I extend my hand straight again. Knee goes to the mat. I rotate my shoulders, and I plant his hands right to the mat. Wrist goes to my bicep, and I snap it right here in this position. Now, once I get to here, go ahead and put your hands back to the mat. Once I get to here, in this position, my butt is off my heels. I'm not sitting on my butt. Here, I've got my hips up underneath me. Here. Okay? Right here. I'm just going to show it this way. In this position. Now, once I get to here, my hand is attacking behind the knee. I'm not in the crotch. Here's where we show technique with the high crotch in the high school, junior high level a lot. So we want to show going in the crotch. I don't want to attack from here to here when I attack my opponent. Again, whatever shot it may be. A high crotch, a double leg, okay, a fireman's carry. I'm never attacking in the crotch. I'm always staying from here down. I'm attacking the knees. This is where he's weak. His knees, his ankles. Okay? So whenever I attack my opponent with my hands on his legs, I want to attack from here down. I never want to attack from here to here. This is where he's strong. I don't want to take this hand up in the crotch. All he has to do is sprawl and straighten me out. By attacking his knees, I've got him in tight here. Okay? Now, just go back to the position there. Once I get in to the high crotch, here, my hips are up underneath me. I want my head right here to his side in this position. From this position, I bring my trail leg up. This is my trail leg. I've got to bring my trail leg up, and I post it right here to the side of me. Once I post my trail leg to the side of me, my free hand goes to the knee. Right here. Once my free hand goes to the knee, I switch off, and I go to the far side with the hand that I'm attacking with. If my right hand's the hand that I attack with, it goes to the far side, and I attack the far knee. Okay? Let's go right here. Right there. Yeah, now just go to the right there. Once I get to here, trail leg comes up, this hand comes across, and I attack the far knee. Not at the hip, not here, here. Once I get to this position, my hips are underneath me, I drive across with my head, and I drive with my trail leg. I've got to drive into him with my trail leg. This trail leg is not here or here. I have it bent, cocked right up underneath me, so I can drive into him. So once I switch off, I drive right to the mat. Okay. So, briefly, to go over this move, I'm going to go over it a little faster here. This is what you want it to look like. Elbow control. Got to have the elbow control. I change levels. Look where I'm at. My head and chest is over my lead leg. I swisher my feet, take my chest over my lead leg. Here. Knee goes right towards the toe. I don't pick the foot up. I rotate my shoulders. I don't shoot in this way. I have to rotate. I rotate my shoulders. Hand attacks the knee. Wrist goes to my bicep. And I drive this knee towards his toe. Right there. That's the position I want. I pull, and then I release. Snap it, release it. Once I get to here, I bring my trail leg up and post it to the mat. And I come across. Driving with my head and my trail leg. Here. And take him to the mat. The next finish to the high crotch. Okay? This finish is a dump that I'm going to hit. This is what I want to use when my opponent sprawls on me. Now, we're not ever going to hit it every time. We're not going to hit it perfect where he doesn't sprawl and we change off and we go to 2. A lot of times we're going to be able to get in there and do the change off and get him quick enough, do it quick enough to where we can change off and drive across. There's going to be times when I shoot in, he sprawls on me. Okay? Now I've got to go to something else. If he's sprawling on me and I'm trying to change off, I'm going to end up with my head to the mat. So the next move that I'm going to demonstrate is the dump. Same type of move when I shoot in, the high crotch. I don't change anything to my high crotch to get into the move. Elbow control, right here. I swisher my feet, again. Now once I get to the leg, he sprawls back. This leg back. Go ahead, sprawl back. In this position. Now, it's going to be hard for me to change off. If I try to change off in this position, he's going to flatten me to the mat. So, once he sprawls in this position, all I'm going to do is take the hand that's around the knee, and I'm going to throw it right straight towards the outside of his ankle. Okay? So my hand that I'm attacking with, I'm going to throw it straight down and extend my arm straight right here. Now, once I get to this position, I have to change levels again. Okay? I have to change levels down. By doing that, I'm going to set my butt to my heels right here. Okay? So once I'm in here, high crotch, I'm around the knee. I've got to go to the outside of the ankle. I don't want to lean forward. I want to just take my butt to my heels right here and change levels again and slide my arm down. So he sprawls back. Here. All I'm going to do, change levels in this position. Right here. Now, my shoulder is to the inside of the crotch. My arm is straight down to the outside of the knee. To the outside of the ankle. Once I get to this position here, I lock my arm out. It's not bent. I'm not around the calf, okay, or around the knee. It's straight down as far as I can take it. Once I get to here, this hand comes to the wrist. I'm not locking my hands in this position or this position. I'm coming to the wrist. I extend my arms straight, just like this. I don't want any bend in my arms. If my arms are bent, that means I'm up around this calf. I don't want to be there. I want to be straight down as far as I can take it to the ankle. Once I get to here, shoot it down. I take the hand to the wrist. Hand comes over the top, and I grab my wrist. I'm going to throw my shoulder into his crotch. I'm going to drive his hips over this foot that's planted to the mat. By taking this hand to this position here, okay, I drive his hips over his foot, and I set his hips to the mat. By doing this, I plant this foot in the mat. Okay, so once I get to here, my trail leg takes a big step to the back of me. I'm going to take a big step here. Throw my shoulder into the crotch, drive his hips over this foot that's posted to the mat, and set his hips straight to the mat. So once I get to here, I drive my shoulder into the crotch, trail leg comes to the far side, and I set him right to his butt in this position. Now, notice, once I set him to his butt, my knees come off the mat. Here. I don't want to leave my knees on the mat. I take the pressure off my opponent. So once I dump him and I set him to his butt, my knees immediately come off the mat. So I keep my shoulder into his crotch, and I keep the pressure on him. I want to keep his butt pinned to the mat. Okay. So, recap the high crotch dump. I swish my feet. I come here. He sprawls. Now, once he sprawls, I feel him sprawling. I've got to change levels. Here, in this position. Shoulder to the inside of the crotch. Hand comes around, grabs the wrist. I drive and I rotate here. Set him right to his butt. I drive him and I rotate his hips over this foot that's posted to the mat. Here. My knees come off the mat in this position. Now, if I rotate him and I set him to his butt, if my knees are on the mat, again, I don't keep the pressure on him. What he's going to do is he can slide his hips out in front of me and end up over the top of me in this position. If I drop my knees to the mat, I take the pressure off, he slides his leg out, and he ends up over the top of me. So, once I set him to his butt, this is where a lot of technique, proper technique, has to come in. I keep my shoulder in his crotch, my knees come off the mat. That foot that I attack, I have to be down low at the ankle with the hand that I'm attacking. I don't ever slide my hand up around the knee. If I slide my hand up around his knee, I drop my knee. If I drop my knees to the mat, if I slide my hands up around his knee here, all he has to do is pull his knee to my chin and do the same thing right there. So, my knees are off the mat, my hand stays at the ankle, and I elevate the foot. By doing that, I keep his butt pinned to the mat. Once I get to this position, I slide, my hand stays at the ankle. I elevate it right here. Okay? So, once I get to here and I elevate the foot, now I have to score. I'm going to go and I'm going to change off to a double leg. But before I do that, I've got to make sure his butt's pinned to the mat. If I'm in this position here and I elevate, here's where we have problems. We try to elevate the leg, everybody does that fine, then we try to switch off to 2. Okay? Once I switch off the 2, if his butt's not pinned to the mat, he's going to slide his hips out. Go ahead. Right there. So, to pin his butt to the mat, I'm going to elevate the foot here. Once I elevate it, my near leg, my inside leg, my right leg is going to hook the leg right here, and I step in this position. Now, that pins his butt to the mat. Once I get to here, I've pinned his butt to the mat. He's not going anywhere. Slide your hips out. He can't go anywhere. Okay? My foot's in the air. I don't have my foot planted to the mat. I have my foot up in the air. Once I get to here, now I can change off. This hand comes around the knee. My right hand goes to the far knee. Once I get to this position, I drive my toe towards my body. My knee comes off the mat right here. So I take a step with my outside foot. I lift my hips off the mat here and lift my knee off the mat, and I drive my body into him until my knee drops to the far side. Once I get to this position, I can release, and I have my 2. My knee, when I come across him, has to go to the far side. Here. Once I get to here, this knee has to go to the far side. I lift, and I step it to the far side. Now I have my 2. I score my points. Okay. Here's another finish to the high crotch dump. Once I shoot my high crotch and he sprawls here, and I dump him to the mat. Once I set him to his butt here, another finish that I like to use. If I can't elevate the foot, okay, and hook my leg, I've got to go to something else. Now, again, the most important thing is I've got to keep my hand at the ankle. I don't want to slide my hand up around his knee. I keep it low at the ankle. Now, once I get to this position, if he comes around my waist, I've got to go to something else. If he's locked and he comes around my waist, that's going to be his reaction the majority of the time, is to wrap around me right here. Okay? All I do is I stay at the ankle right here in this position. Once I get to the ankle here, this hand, my free hand, is going to come and hook high above the elbow. Right here. Once I hook above the elbow, I'm going to grab my own waist. Now, what that does is that takes away one of his posts. He can't pull his arm out and post to the mat. Post it. He can't pull his arm out. Now, once I take away his right arm here, and I grab my own waist, all I'm going to do is I'm going to load him up. I'm going to walk my feet towards his head. Post my head to the mat. My head's not off the mat here. My head's posted. I elevate by walking my feet towards his head. I elevate this ankle in this position. Once I walk to the side of him here, I high leg over with my right leg. Okay, my far leg here, the farthest one from his head. I high leg it over in this position. Right there. I keep my elbow to my side. I pull the ankle straight down. And I stack it. Keeping the hand above the elbow, or keeping the arm above the elbow, grabbing my waist right here. Now look at my knees. Look at the position I'm in. My legs aren't extended straight here. I'm staying in a nice tight ball in this position from here. Now, I can stack him and pin him, or if I feel him kicking out and I feel everything extending out, feel my arm extending out and I feel like I'm losing it, all I have to do from this position is he starts to extend me out. I just pick my hips off the mat, I take it over his head, and I follow the leg. So once I feel him extending me out here and I feel like I'm losing it, all I do is I pick it up, my hip off the mat, I take it over the head, keep a hold of this leg, and I turn right into him. And then I release in this position. Again, if I feel myself losing the position, I have to bring my hips off the mat, bring it over the top of the head. So again, I dump him, I set him to the mat. He comes around the waist. My hands low at the ankle. My shoulders in the crotch, my knees are off the mat. I hook around the tricep right here and I grab my waist. My head's posted to the mat. I walk my feet towards his head. By doing that, it takes his shoulders to the mat. Takes his back to the mat right here. I elevate him. Once I get to here, I high leg over and I set. And I hold him. I can pin him in this position. I bring my elbow in and I keep everything tight. Now, if I feel myself losing it or I want to score my two, I release. I by him extending his leg straight, I'm letting him pull my hips up. And I walk my feet over his head. Once I get to here, my hips clear his head. I release the hand that's around the ankle. And I turn right into him, into a double. And I finish on top and I score my two. Another position I like from the dump. Once I set him to his butt, again, go ahead, sit to your butt. Once I set him to his butt, he comes around my waist again. Here. Okay? All I'm going to do is hook, elevate. Once I elevate him, I'm going to kick over the top of him. Okay? Kicking right over the top of him. Now, I cannot kick over the top of him until I elevate his foot and I set his back to the mat. I've got to take him here first. I've got to take him to his back. I don't want to elevate with his head and chest up high. I can't kick over. I've got to set him to here. Then I kick over. So, hand is at the ankle, shoulders in the crotch. I come around and I hook above the elbow. I elevate him, walk my feet towards his head. Once I get to here, I just high leg over. Now I'm not jumping, I'm just taking a step over right here. I'm controlling what I'm doing. Okay? Once I get to here, I throw my left leg, the leg that's towards his head, the leg that's closest to his head, I throw it underneath my right leg, and I turn right into it. Here. Okay? In this position. Now, if I get to this position, here's what a lot of us do, a lot of mistakes we make. I don't throw this leg over the top of my leg that's nearest towards his head. I don't throw this leg over the top. If I do that, okay, he's just going to turn in with me, and we're going to end up out. So I throw my hips, my leg underneath, and I keep my position right to the side of him. So, here. I hook, I elevate. Once I elevate, I kick over. Now, all I do, again, from this position. So I take my leg, my knees are bent. I'm not here. Look at my hips, they're off the mat. I keep the pressure on him the whole time. My hips come under. Right here, my hand posts to the mat. I scoop my body towards his legs, right here. And I cover over the top. And I score my 2. Another finish to the dump. Once I dump my opponent to the mat, in this position here, let's go to this position. Once I set him and I dump him to the mat, here, I set him to his butt, right here. If his hand is posted to the mat, all I have to do is reach for it, okay? This is an easy, basic, simple move, but this is one step that we miss, okay? Once I get him to here, all I have to do is reach. If his hand is posted right here, I just reach for it. I throw both knees to the mat. Right when I throw both knees to the mat, I've got to pull my head out. I don't want to throw both knees to the mat and keep my head here to his side. Okay? So, hands at the ankle. My free hand goes to the wrist. I throw both knees to the mat and I pull my head out. And I finish my 2. Okay? Basic and simple. Again, my hand goes to the wrist. I drop both knees to the mat and I pull my head out. And I finish on top. Now, the last part of this tape, I want to show a variety of setups that I like to use when I'm shooting a high crotch. If the elbow control isn't there for me, okay, if I'm trying to get an elbow control and my opponent just won't give me his elbow, or his arms locked straight here, and I can't get the feel, there's other things I have to go to. Okay? Again, if he's straight here, he's wrestling me straight. If I don't feel the elbow controls there, I've got to go to something else. Now here's the move I like to use, another setup that I like to use to high crotch. If he's posting me, all I'm going to do is take this hand goes to his elbow, right here. My right hand goes to his wrist, and I get a 2-on-1. All I'm doing is I'm peeling it right over the top of me, right in front of me, in this position. Here. Hand comes to the wrist, thumbs to the outside. My hand comes to the inside, or my thumb comes to the inside, and I grab the wrist. Once I clear the wrist, here in front of me, I'm changing levels all at the same time. I don't pull it off and then change levels. I change levels all at the same time. So if I'm in my stance here and he ties up with me, I go to the wrist. I take it off right here. Now, once I get to this position, I release the hand that's around the wrist and I change levels. When I change levels here, I release the hand that's around the wrist and I extend my arm straight, right underneath my left hand, right here. So I come to this position, I come over right in front of me. I'm not slinging it here. I don't want to do this. Okay? I just peel it straight off in front of me. Once I get to this position, I change levels, I release the hand that's around the wrist, and I extend my arm straight. When I extend my arm straight, I'm passing the elbow across his body. Here. I want to pass him across his body. So, once I get to this position, I change levels. I release the hand that's around the wrist, and I pass by, and I shoot my high crotch. Here. And I finish my 2. Okay? I have to pass this arm, this elbow, across the body. Once I pass it across the body, I'm extending my arm, my hand, all at the same time. Here. Once I pass it across, I extend this hand straight, and I release. Right there. Again, my hips are underneath me. I bring my trail leg up. I come across, I tack the knees. And I take him to the mat. Another move that I like to use when I'm tying up with my opponent is if he posts me. When he posts me here, his arm is straight. I can't get the elbow control. I can't get the pull that I want. All I'm going to do is take my hand and go palm facing towards my opponent, right here. My hand's wide open in this position. I take my hand above the elbow and I pop it. And I change levels and I shoot. So if I'm in this position, my opponent posts me right here. All I do is I change levels, I post right here. And I attack my opponent. So once I get to here, he posts, I change levels. Here. Hand above the elbow. I don't want to take my hand here and throw it. I'm not slinging him up. I'm popping it. So he posts. Here. I take the hand, come above the elbow, I change level, and I shoot. And I change across. I like doing this move. You can time this move. This is a position where you can time. I'm out here, I'm moving with Mark. Once I feel him posting me here, I might want to slap it down. Okay? If he's posting me in this position, I might want to slap it down if I feel it. Then the next one, I come in with the post. So again, if I feel him straight arm and posting me, okay, I can slap it down. Hand comes over the top, and I slap it down. Now once he comes again, I change levels. Hand comes above the elbow. My free hand here extends straight towards the knee. And I change levels. And I come across. Now, another high crotch series I like to use. When he gets an underhook on me, okay, in this position here, I can still hit a high crotch. We all try to do the throws, which is great, okay? But if you want to hit a high crotch from this position, I can still hit it. Now, once I'm in my position here, the key is when a guy underhooks me, it doesn't matter what I'm doing, whether I'm trying to attempt a high crotch or not. When a guy underhooks me, I've got to keep in my stance. I don't want to come up out of my stance. Everybody wants to come up out of their stance. If I'm in my stance here and he underhooks me, we all want to come up here in this position. If my opponent underhooks me, I stay in my stance. I don't come up. So, once he underhooks me here, I stay in my stance. Go ahead and get it. Right here. My hand comes to the inside of the knee in this position. Now, he's going to be driving into me. He's going to be driving into me here. So, from this position, I take my hand to the inside of the knee. I stay in my stance right here. Once I feel him coming into me, all I'm going to do is take this hand and I'm going to throw it to the back side right here. I'm going to rotate my shoulders, throwing this hand to the back side, to the far hip. Once I go to here, I'm going to rotate my shoulders and I'm going to slip my arm out. So it looks like this. He gets an underhook. My hand goes to the inside. Notice where I'm at. I'm in my stance. I don't let him jack me up here. If I let my opponent jack me up, then I'm being lazy. I want to stay in my stance. Here. From this position, I throw my I throw my hand to my far hip pocket. I rotate my shoulders and I attack the knee. Right here. Here. Hand comes across. I end up in this position. Most of the time, he's putting so much pressure into me that he falls straight to the mat. Okay? By limp arming out here, he'll flatten right straight to the mat. I turn it back into him, and he's flattened out. And I finish on top. So, the back angle from this, so I'm in this position here. I swisher my hand comes to the inside. Once I come with my left hand, the underhook that he's attacking, once I bring it to the back side here, I've got to rotate my shoulders. Here. Right there. Once I get to this position, I limp arm and I pull my arm straight back out. Here, and I square up with him, and I score my 2. Okay? So it looks like this. He's in, looks like right there. And I finish on top. So that's a limp arm from an underhook. I hope you enjoyed the high crotch. It's a different look than most ways you're taught. I went off the elbow control high crotch. I show you a variety of finishes that you probably haven't seen before. These are type of finishes that we do here at Oklahoma State. This is the type of high crotch that we do here at Oklahoma State. Again, I feel like this is the best high crotch out there. The elbow control high crotch, moving my opponent, that's the object of the game. I have to move my opponent when I attack him. This high crotch shows that I move my opponent and I can finish on top. I hope you enjoy the high crotch. I wish you a lot of success. Some good luck.